right, here we go again. So we're just going to wait one moment here. We always need to make sure we got our wrenchman around, so we're waiting for Sage, our wrench, to arrive, and then we will get started. Okay, let's click that. Boom. Oh wow, we're on our 12th video already. Fantastic. Neato, gang. Yeah, real fantastic. Alright. Let's click here. Welcome to the Thundercast, Sage. We are going to get to business here in just one moment. Before we get into the, the meat and potatoes of the sports world today, we do need... Sage, I need you to be quiet. I need you to be quiet, okay? Just for a minute. We need to take a moment of silence for Sabu. All right, that moment is now over. It flew by, but we're gonna start the cast. We're gonna start the cast here tonight with some bad news. So Sabu, who was an ECW legend, he was an ECW legend, was he not, Sage? He did pass away today, or at the age of 60. I need to ask you a question. So he was I think between 1993 and 2000, he was like a fucking he was pretty popular in ECW. No, high risk guy, and was he the guy? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he the guy that used to bang the beers off the front of his head? I just need a yes or no to that question, and then we'll move off of Sabu. I'm pretty sure that's who he was. Because I remember when I was really big into wrestling in 2001, hearing about this maniac and just how crazy he was. And he was a crazy motherfucker from what I heard. So, rest in peace, Sabu. We're not going to dwell too much on you because I never really watched ECW because ECW was kind of crazy. People were taking cheese graters to people's heads and shit. It's just not something I ever got into myself. So, we're going to move off that, Sage. What would you like to focus on first? The NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs? Because I got it teed off or teed up one way or the other, whichever you want to go. Because we can probably stick to bad news if we want to do the NHL first. Because it was certainly a bad day for Canada if you're looking at the world of... All right, let's get the boring shit out of the way. We'll come back to the bad news again. We'll go bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. We'll break it up a little bit here. So, there's really not a whole lot that I'm going to say about the game today. I never watched OKC versus Denver, but, OKC did get a win on the road in a game that was pretty low scoring, 92-87. When you get those 92-87 games, you're not really going to have crazy high scores. So it looks like Yoshik's had 27 points. That's the most that was scored by either team. And, SGA, Shea Gilgeous Alexander, had 25 points. So not really the offense was doing that good tonight. So they do square up the series 2-2. It'll be moving back home, I believe, for OKC, unless they do things a little different than other sports. So, there you go. That's the coverage. Beautiful coverage for that series there. Now, this game, I don't even think this game here is over, but I've already put the hashtag in, so the game is fucking over. So, as it currently stands, with 4 minutes, 23 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Indiana Pacers are up on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that game's over. Indiana, surprisingly, is going to take a 3-1 lead in that series. So that's all we're really going to say about it. We'll break down some of the stats for Indiana because I was kind of looking at it earlier. And, it just seems like they're very evenly distributed. You got Pascal Siakam going for 21 points. You got Aaron Nesmith going for 12 points. Miles Turner going for 20 points. Tyrese Halliburton only going for 11 points. They're probably benching him. Yeah, it looks like he's only got 26 minutes. Then on the bench, you got Obi Toppin, who I know Sage is familiar with, scoring 20 points. You've got TJ McConnell hitting 13 points. And some motherfucker I've never heard of, Ben Shepherd, scoring 14 points. So that will basically put Indiana up 3-1 over the Cleveland Cavaliers, who had like 64 wins last year. You still got, the Knicks and the Celtics to go tomorrow. I think they're playing 2-1 series there. 2-1 series Timberwolves and Warriors. So I assume they play tomorrow unless they're getting their bitch rest or whatever you want to say. Not that they really need it, right? Unless they're just trying to, get Steph Curry back healthy. That's probably what they're probably doing, And then I already said it. Thunder and Nuggets are squared up at 2-2 there. Let's turn our attention. Let's go back to the bad news. So we're gonna go bad, good, blah, blah, blah. So the Winnipeg Jets just got their fucking asses handed to them by the fucking Dallas Stars. All I know is that this motherfucker named Mikko Rantanen, whatever the fuck his name is, he's just been going off this playoff. He's got his, I believe, 9 goals in the playoff so far. He had a goal and an assist today, so, this motherfucker is just fucking taking care of business. So it does not look good for the Winnipeg Jets. Dallas now holds a 2-1 series lead against the Winnipeg Jets. So let's move off that. I mean, I didn't watch that game. I did watch the Leafs and Panthers. And, I've got a few remarks I'm going to say. First and foremost, I'm going to say I think that, the Leafs goalie there, what's his name? Jared Wall, Jacob Wall, Joseph Wall, whatever the fuck his name is, he fucking did stand on his head today. Joseph Wall, sorry. I mean, that first goal, who is going to stop that first goal? That cross-ice pass from Matthew Tkachuk to God knows who. Who's going to make that save? So I can't hold that against him. I mean, I didn't see the second goal because I had a bad feeling, and I told Dan, I was like, I got a bad feeling. I got bad feeling, is what I said. So I went to go piss, and of course, when I came back, it was a 2-0 ball game. And all I gotta say is that this was like the most unimpressive shutout that I've ever seen. So yeah, Sergei Bobrovsky, yeah, you got a shutout, buddy. That's great. But you weren't really challenged, in my opinion. A lot of the best challenges were just shots that missed the net. The Leafs dug a hole early on. I mean, they did. I thought there's good and bad. So first period is basically okay. You got your ass whipped. But at the same time, you took 4 penalties and you only let 1 goal. So I was like, that's kind of you know what I mean? Kind of like a silver lining, that sort of thing. So I was pretty happy with kind of the outcome after 1, because I literally told Dan, I was like, they can't play any worse than this entering the second frame. Second frame, I think, wasn't much better, but it was still not great. They let a lot of shots, that sort of thing. But, Florida went on 3, took 3 penalties that period, I do believe. One thing in the fourth period that was weird, it was just a clear interference call. I forget who it was on and who did it, that sort of thing. But, initially the referees called that a 5-minute major, and I was just like, are you guys fucking blind? I don't get paid to be a referee. And I was just like, that's just a 2-minute minor. It's an interference call, Call the interference call. But initially, they went with 5. Luckily, they had a chance to do some sort of video replay bullshit and get the call right. But I'm just, the only Leaf I'm really going to fucking praise tonight is Joseph Wall. I think Mitch Marner did a fucking piss poor job tonight. He took 2 or 3 shots from the point that pretty much damn near ended up in fucking breakaways for the fucking Florida Panthers. Also, welcome to the Thundercloud Corpse, though. I was just in my fucking zone, so if you posted it earlier, I wasn't looking at the goddamn phone there. So I do apologize without remorse. Now, that's all I'm really going to say about the game. It was a stinker. If you kind of look at the series, though, like, Maple Leafs took care of business. They won 2 games at home. Florida, they won 2 games at home. So, like, both teams kind of handled what they were supposed to do. Now you got a best of 3 coming up. Going back to Toronto. I'm not going to say any team's choking or not choking. I hate that narrative. I think Florida just fucking came fucking hungry. Like, they are fucking, Panthers after all. They do have a fucking insatiable appetite. So, I'm going to tip my cap. I think it's been a great series so far. This could have easily been a one goal game yet again. It's just been a fucking competitive series. It's been an absolute fucking dogfight. So, they knotted it up 2-2. We'll give you just kind of the playoff update here. So, the Dallas Stars go up 2-1 on the Winnipeg Jets. I kind of feel like Sage was right. I don't like to admit when Sage is right. It actually makes me kind of queasy in my belly, and I don't like that. But I feel like Dallas could potentially win this in 5 now. That's just the feeling I'm getting. Probably be a 6-game series, but I could certainly see them winning it in 5. Edmonton against Golden Knights. I mean, Edmonton's going to have to hope that they play a lot better than they did in Game 3 because, frankly, they got worked by the Golden Knights. So we'll see what happens. 2-1 series, though, in favor of Edmonton. We already went over the Leafs 2-2 going back home. And the Capitals and Hurricanes, I mean, this could be another one that's not really a super competitive series. I think Carolina probably wins the next game and wins in 5. They're currently up 2-1. So, Sage, I've dusted off basketball and I've dusted off hockey immaculately, I would probably say. So, did I miss anything for those before we move forward? Just give me a straight yes or no. And if I did, please add to it as to what I missed. You have 30 seconds to get your response in, Sage. 30 fucking seconds. God damn it, I'm a stuttering fucking prick right now. Dear God in heaven. Covered it all. Covered it eloquently, too, I would say. So, I just want to, give myself a pat on the back. Now, we're going to do 2 things next. So, first and foremost, we are going to cover the Toronto Blue Jays. They do find themselves in the midst of a win streak, which is kind of hilarious to say. Like, a couple nights ago, I was like, holy fuck, man, we can't win a fucking ball game. Now we're currently on a 4-game winning streak. We're 20-20. I'm not going to complain about being 20-20, this early in the year. George Springer had a great game today. So George Springer went 2 for 5, had 3 RBI, a home run. He's currently hitting a 297 average and a 921 OPS, so that's pretty fucking awesome. Sadly, Kirk went 1 for 2, and he sustained some sort of an injury. I didn't have a chance to kind of look into what the injury was. Hopefully it's not serious. We do need Kirk behind the plate. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the game, and he's not terrible with the bat either. Addison Barger did hit a home run, so I mean, he's not hitting great on the year, but 712 OPS is slightly above average. Bo Bichette went 0 for 4. I mean, he's at 716. Guerrero went 1 for 5. He's at a 790 OPS. The one kind of weird thing I want to talk about, or it's not really weird, but it's something that you're probably not going to hear people talking about in normal sports coverage, and that would be Eric Lauer. So Eric Lauer, formerly of the Milwaukee Brewers, that's where he's best known. Yeah, he did pitch for the San Diego Padres, before that. He's a guy we signed to a minor league deal. He was one of the signings that I actually really liked in the offseason because he's been good. He's been good in the past. So I'll just kind of give a little bit of a breakdown of him. He's got a 4.3 ERA career, 4.1 F9 FIP. So FIP is basically ERA, but you're adjusting it to the fields they pitch. And so you pay more attention to the ERA than the FIP, but sometimes, especially in a smaller sample, you can gather more intel if to whether it's sustainable or not with the FIP. So the interesting thing though is, I mean, he's a left-handed pitcher. He had two great years with Milwaukee in 2021 and 2022. He had a 3.19 ERA, a 3.69 ERA, respectively. The year after, I mean, he had a dog shit ERA, 6.56. And then he was injured. I think he was probably injured during that 2023 season. He never pitched a goddamn game in 2024. So the Jays got him for a cheap deal. Now, he's not someone that lights up the radar gun or anything like that. His velocity's still not quite as strong as it was, in some of the previous years there. But I think they got a really good value guy. I think they got a guy here they can use in a few different ways. They can use him as a starting pitcher. That's what he's mostly been used as in his entire career. You can kind of use him as like a situational lefty here and there, as well as a long man. So I think he's at worst like a great little swing man pitcher that can help out the bullpen. Because I was just really, intrigued to see him. The starter that we had tonight went 2 innings, let 1 run. But Lauer went 4 2/3 innings, picked up the win, and he didn't let 1 run tonight. 5 strikeouts, only 1 walk. His ERA is actually going to come down for the season to 2.0. So just someone to keep an eye on. A lot of times in baseball, you're going to literally need, 8 to 10 starting pitchers to kind of cover the year. So really interested in him. Max Scherzer, he's not going to be back for a little while. So kind of nice to see you're getting a nice little return on investment for a guy that you didn't really pay anything for. So I do want to pivot off the Jays, but since it is the quarter of the season in the MLB, I just want to quickly break down division by division where teams are standing. Not going to look at the wild card picture. It's far too early, but I need to have a quick little hydration break here before I break it down. So let's start with the beasts of the American East. So, I mean, the top dog right now is the New York Yankees. I mean, they got some talent. They've lost some talent. I'm not really sure that they're that great of a team this year, if I'm being honest with you. They sit atop the American League East, 23-17. Then you've got Boston Red Sox, 22-20. So they played 2 more games than the Jays. Jays are third at 20-20. You've got Tampa Bay 18-22. And surprisingly, you've got Baltimore sitting in the basement at 15-24. With that said, I mean, Boston's only 2 games back of the division. Jays are only 3 games back. Tampa's 5 games back. And Baltimore's 7.5. So just really surprised to see Baltimore there. I know they started off slow early. Haven't watched a ton of baseball this year, but just still kind of surprised, especially with the fact that they've got a negative 65 run differential. That could be one of the worst. It is actually, I'm right, it is tied for the worst in the American League for run differential. So completely surprised about that. So let's move to the AL Central. I did think this was kind of a 2-man kind of a fight here for the division crown in the AL Central to enter the season. I had Cleveland, the Cleveland Indians, not the Cleveland Guardians. They will always be the Indians to me. Those are the teams that, I was favoring. But I knew Detroit would be there. But currently Detroit Tigers lead 26-15. Well, 26-15 record, I should say. Cleveland, second place, 23-17. Kansas City looking like, they're finally starting to develop some of their talent, 24-18. Minnesota, 21-20. And the lowly Chicago White Sox, 12-29. So obviously the White Sox aren't going anywhere. But what's weird, Their run differential is only a negative 35. Baltimore, who is projected to probably win the division or at least finish second for the American League East, they're negative 65, just to reiterate. So that looks like a competitive division. We'll see how that all pans out. I think the Royals are somewhat legit, but I still like the same two teams that I like going into the season, Cleveland and Detroit. The AL West seems like they've taken a bit of a step back with one exception. So you got the Seattle Mariners, who just dropped the series to the Jays. I will say that right now at 22-17. The Houston Astros at 20-19. The Oakland, I'm still going to call them the Oakland Athletics. I'm not going to call them the Athletics, or I'm not going to call them the Las Vegas Athletics. For me, they will always be the Oakland Athletics at 21-20, and they've got power. That's all I'm going to say is they got power. I don't suspect their pitching's very good, but they do fucking have power. Probably not sustainable, though, at a negative 38 run differential. I will say that right now. Texas, 20-21. They really haven't been that great of a team since winning the World Series or being in the finals. I forget which they did, to be honest. I think they won it, actually, a couple years ago. Los Angeles Angels, 16-23. Well, they're kind of used to being in the basement, so that's just who they are, honestly. Doesn't matter what they do, they're always going to fucking suck, honestly, since like 2002. Well, they were a little better a couple years after that, too, but since their World Series, they really haven't accomplished a ton. Moving off to the NL East, we've got the New York Mets sitting atop there, 26-15. I kind of think it will be a cockfight between them, the Philadelphia Phillies, and or the Atlanta Braves. I don't think Washington's quite there yet, and Miami, they're just in the basement as well. So you got New York, 26-15, Philadelphia Phillies, 24-16, so they're going to have a good little scrap. The Atlanta Braves, who are going to get Ronald Acuna back very shortly, because I've got him in my fantasy league. I've been keeping tabs on him, as well as Spencer Strider. They're 19-21, but just look up. If they get those two guys back and they start, doing what they normally do, I think they could challenge any team in baseball if they get hot. Like I said, the Nationals, 17-24, they're not going anywhere. Good young talent, like C.J. Abrams, etc., Mackenzie Gore, some other guys as well, but they're not going to win the division. Miami, 15-24. Let's just move off of it. NL Central, we've got the Chicago Cubs, 23-18. St. Louis having a bit of a rebound year. They were garbage last year, 22-19. The Milwaukee Brewers, 20-21. Cincinnati Reds are a team that I love. I fucking love Cincinnati. They're only 20-22. They do have some fucking good stars to watch. Ellie De La Cruz, obviously, but they do have more than that. Pittsburgh, I think they recently just fired their coach, 14-27. They got talent, but it looks like they're going to be sitting in the fucking, sitting as a bottom feeder probably this year as well. Now, as we kind of pivot to the NL West, you've got the Los Angeles Dodgers, 27-14. I do not think there's a more complete team in baseball. Do I think that means they win the World Series? Absolutely not. But there's no team better. They're the team to beat, regardless of what division we're talking. So 27-14. But, San Diego, 25-14, playing well. They're only a game back, actually, right? The San Francisco Giants playing good. I love San Francisco. San Francisco has the most beautiful ballpark that there is in baseball. Oracle Park is fucking amazing. It is the nicest park I've ever seen in my life. So I've always been a big fan of them. Plus, I love Barry Bonds. So they're 24-17. That's all we're going to say about San Fran. Arizona, they're above the Mendoza line. They're at 21-20. And the Colorado Rockies, they're 7-33. They just fired their coach. I think their coach's name was Bud Black. I think Bud Black was a good little pitcher back in the day. But you're 7-23, and they just let up 21 runs the day before they fired their coach. They have a negative 128 run differential. They're the laughing stock of my brain right now. Like, they're fucking terrible. As we can say about like Miami, they're terrible, negative 69 run differential. So those are kind of your bottom feeders in the National League there. So I just wanted to do a quick breakdown of the standings because we're at the quarter mark. When we get to like around games 81, I'll do another breakdown, or maybe at the All-Star break. I'm not really going to plan that far in advance because frankly I don't give a shit. So let's pivot to one more thing before we get to fantasy sports, and that is the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders made a huge signing today. They signed Jalen Smith, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, to probably a 1-year deal worth no guaranteed money whatsoever. This guy, Sage, correct me if I'm wrong, was he like a kind of like a 4-3 linebacker? I think, you know what I mean? Like, and he had a couple sacks here and there. I think he used to actually be productive in fantasy sports, but like the last 2 or 3 years, he's been fucking dog shit, like straight shit. So yeah, they're hiring. They got him as a. Yeah, he's going to be an inside linebacker depth for Pete Carroll and the Oakland Raiders. So he used to be really good, man. Honestly, this is not a noteworthy signing. I just wanted to bring it up because at one time this guy was fucking good, and now he's just an absolute dog turd. So, we've covered everything except what matters the most. And that is me. You heard correctly. That is me. I did it again. I did it again. And I did it again. I win this week, Sage. I won 9-7 over the Dark Sliders. Dan's shitty-ass team just lost 2 more games to me, and he was already back 26 games. Yeah, okay. This is where you tune out? Okay. You know what, Sage? I'm sorry. I just won 9-7. We'll get to your little vignant here in a second, or whatever the fucking word's called. Graham pulled off a little bit of a little upset here against the 7 seed. So I wouldn't really call that an upset. He won 10-4. But when we... Sage... You're not doing it. You're not doing justice for Tommy Callahan and Tommy Callahan's auto parts. In fact, you're doing the opposite. You're doing an injustice. You son of a bitch, you just lost 9-5 to bases loaded. So you lose your seat at the poll. Actually, no, you're still in second place. But I think I gained... How many games do I gain on you? 6? I gain a few games on you. At least 3. At least 3 on you. So I, cement myself as the absolute greatest in this league. Mother took care of business on Mother's Day. She will leapfrog Alexandra's awesome team. And she's going to move into what? I think she's going to move into fourth place there. So you both got served a plate of humiliation. Deal with it. At least at the end of the night, when you've lost, just remember this. At least you're not in last place, trailing by 28 fucking games. So I hope that helps you guys sleep better. That's it for the broadcast for tonight, or the Thundercast, whatever we're calling it nowadays. We're all up to date on sports, fantasy sports, that sort of thing. But Sage, think about how fortunate you are. Both of you, think about how fortunate you are. You're not 28 games behind me. You're still in the fucking fight. You won't catch me, of course, but you're still in the fucking dogfight. I'm going to have to probably console Dan here in a few minutes because I think he's pretty upset about how things have unfolded for his shitty ass team. So I'm going to have to put my therapeutic hat on here in a minute. Sage, all I care about is finishing first in the regular season. Once the playoffs come, I tell my players to take it easy. We did our job. It's a bigger sample size. So I'd rather go by the bigger sample size than the smaller sample size. So there's that. So you can kindly jog the fuck on. I don't believe I missed anything. I believe I hit 6 fucking home runs out of the park tonight. So guys, I don't think I see that. You hit that like button. Hit the fucking like button and or the subscribe button. And we will do this again tomorrow. In fact, I might. And I just might do a 2-a-day tomorrow. I might do a 2-a-day stream tomorrow. One early, one late. So one would be video game centric. The other one would be sports centric. So just I haven't made up my mind yet, but you know, that's just kind of the rumor, you know, going around the rumor mill here up in you know, the Bay. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. If you don't hit that fucking like button, I will fucking take that wrench away from you and I will hit you across the fucking chops, Sage. So please, hit the fucking like button or you're going to lose a wrench. Okay? Okay, bud? Alright, guys. I'm going to put a stamp in this bitch right now. We'll talk more shit tomorrow. But this is it for the thundercloud there. Sage, I can give myself a wrench so damn quick, you have no fucking idea how quickly I can do that. And I will, if need be. If you back me into a corner, I'll fucking do it, okay? Sage, don't try to posture me. You just hit the like button, Sage. It's not very hard. You literally click and or hit your fucking thumb against where it says like. And when I say it says like, I mean that little thing that's a thumbs up. Sage, would you please hit the like button? I need this more than you know. Both of you hit the like button. I'm sorry I called you bottom dwellers. I'm sorry I compared you to the Miami Marlins. I won't ever do it again, and I'm really fucking sorry, okay? I promise I won't do it again. Now hit the fucking like button, okay? No, you're gonna give likes. In fact, I would encourage you to give loves, but that's not an option here. You're gonna dislike me? You're going to dislike me. You're going to get in my face and spit in it. You know, if I was you, Sage, and you fucking do what you do over the internet, I'd bite your fucking ear off. And then I'd rip your wrench out and I'd hit you in the fucking kneecap. How the fuck does that sound? When she gets her wrench, I don't trust her with a wrench. Okay, Sage. All right. Give me a minute. Oh, no, I pressed report. I pressed the wrong button. I pressed the wrong button. I don't know which one I gave you, but I removed her. I accidentally removed her. Okay. So, okay, type a message, please. Okay, Sage? Does that make you happy? Hit the like button, okay? I did something I didn't want to do. Okay, Sage. That's all you had to say, motherfucker. You didn't have to fucking blackmail me into this bullshit. Yeah, congratulations on the wrench, Corpse Dough. Please do not abuse your power like Sage has. We need to keep it real. You're welcome, and yes, I am much like a Jesus or God-like figure, so I appreciate that prayer that I got right there. Alright, guys, we were not expecting that. Please do not abuse your privilege as a moderator, because I can take wrenches away as quickly as I can dish them out. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to throw some darts. I'm going to cry myself to sleep. And I'm going to try to move on from this loss. And tomorrow we'll be back, and I'll be fucking better than ever, okay? All right. Good night, guys. We shall do battle again tomorrow. End of stream.